Welcome to the Learning Reinvented Podcast, brought to you by myself, James Poletyllo, and the team at the Learning Effect. There are lots of learning podcasts out there, but we wanted to do something slightly different. This week, we're looking at delivery of learning and communications to a remote workforce. I'm delighted to welcome Cheryl Stewart to the podcast. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me.
Cheryl, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am the sales director at Andron Facilities Management. We are a soft facilities management business. So basically we provide cleaning, security, front of house, and all sorts of additional soft services to our clients across the UK. I joined the family business 6 years ago now, and I joined as a bid manager, sort of working on the proposals within the sales team. And then in 2019, I joined the board, and I now look after the sales, marketing and sustainability side of the business.
So it sounds like a really successful career path to date with the business. So you've probably seen lots of growth and change and different roles.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. And yeah, in the past, 6 years, it's been quite amazing the change that has happened, and both from a sort of technology point of view and the clients that we've taken on, and sort of just how the company has kind of grown is quite amazing.
So one of the reasons we wanted to pick up with you is because you're on a bit of a journey. You've touched on technology there, but you're looking at a way of engaging and helping your team work and learn in a slightly different way. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and how that came about?
Yeah, so I think the first time that we sort of recognised, we sort of started thinking about this was a few years ago. And I think working in sales, you kind of are on the front line of listening to your clients and understanding what their expectations are from us, us as a service provider. And it was becoming apparent that all of our clients were looking for us to have some sort of online training platform to support our staff, and to also sort of, evidence completion of training to the client, rather than the sort of traditional printed out training records that we would have had for our cleaning and security teams. So that was when it kind of first sort of we identified the need that we had to start looking into something. And I guess then when the pandemic started last year and we went into lockdown, there was also this other sort of challenge that we realised that we faced, was sort of communication across the business. We have over 2,000 employees across the UK, all spread out across hundreds of client sites, and there's this sort of disconnect between head office and the remote teams. So I guess when the pandemic started, there was this need to be able to communicate important updates to our staff, such as, government guidelines, furlough, anything that was changing on our clients' sites. And traditionally, the managers would be responsible for going to the sites, updating the cleaning security teams of the changes or anything that was going on in the business. Or we would update the HR portal and hope that someone would click on and see the update that we'd put on there. And then I guess when things changed, the managers were told to work from home. We couldn't go to the sites that were still open. A lot of our staff were then at home and on furlough, for example, because the clients didn't require the cleaning services. So these two sort of challenges that we realised with the training and the engagement, we decided that during lockdown it was a good time to really invest and to look for a solution. And from my point of view, I don't do training and development. I do sales and marketing, and I guess the time was freed up a little bit in the beginning as everything kind of went to a halt on the sales side of things. So I decided to start doing a bit of research for the business into a solution that could really help us, because I knew that it would help us from a sales side of things as well, and to support our current clients and ensure that we were giving them the best service that we could.
So originally that was driven by a client requirement, and then you've sort of seen some wider business benefits of that coming into the business as well. And I think it's interesting you talking about, you put something on the HR portal and hope people would come and look at it. So as you've gone through those changes, I'm sure you've seen lots of different things. But let's go back to that point where you're now, okay, we've got this problem, it's a business problem, the clients have raised it, pandemic has exacerbated that problem almost, and you've got a tiny bit of time on your hands, and because of changes that have happened. So you've got to go out to the market and find something. What did you do? How did you go about that? What was that journey like?
Yeah, I think because the primary need that we thought at the time that we had was the training side. So the first thing we started looking at was a sort of training platform, and we originally looked at a cleaning specific training platform that had obviously been designed specific to our industry, which was great in a lot of ways. The content was already on this platform, so it would have been, I guess, a lot less time consuming because everything was already in one place. That was great. But then when we thought about it, we realised that that's great, the cleaning side of things is there, but what about if we wanted to put our own, client specific training, or the security side of the business was being missed out? There was a lot of things that we thought, is this going to allow us to continue to grow? Is this going to be enough for us on this platform? And then we also kind of looked at another sort of app that would have, I guess, needed a lot more work, but we decided that we would look for something that could also do the engagement as well as the training, and that's when we came across Actimo. And I think Actimo were the best fit for us because they specialised in remote workforces, so they understood our challenge around our staff are not all head office based. They don't all sit at a desk, from 9 till 5. They work all over the UK. Some of them don't even have email addresses. They don't use computers. So how do we get around that challenge? And we realised with Actimo that it wasn't just a training tool, it was the whole communication engagement, which we obviously had realised that we lacked, and there was a lot of work to be done there. So I think when we came across that, we decided that it was the best sort of fit, and it could be made bespoke to our business needs. So there was a lot that we could do with it to really push what we needed as a business and what our clients wanted from us. So yeah, that's kind of how we got there.
I think, as you highlight, there's so much choice out there, and often people will go for that easy first option. You talked about the cleaning option because you think, especially for someone where it's not their day job or not their particular area of interest, you go, it's all in one place, that's going to be easy, we can get it in quickly. But then you take that step back and think about, actually, is that just going to solve the immediate problem? How does it grow? How does it change? How's it going to work for our business? And I think that what you're really talking about is business context, and your context is, as you said, that remote workforce, people who don't have a connection into the business in any other way. So how do you create that two-way communication, that instant connection with them? So I think that's really critical, and I've seen that work so well in so many companies. So I'd love to hear about how that journey is actually going now that you're implementing the tool and those team members are starting to engage with it, and how's the journey going?
Yeah, it's been so interesting actually, and I think in the beginning, Actimo were great in sort of advising us on how to do the process. And first of all, they suggested that we go to our teams and such as our cleaning teams, and actually speak to the people who will be using the app, which is something we've probably never really done before. So we organise focus groups, interviews with people at different levels in the business to really find out what the challenges are, how connected they feel with Andron as a business, and what they would like from a communication and training tool, from the managers who manage the cleaning teams and the security teams to the actual cleaning security guards themselves. So it was really interesting, and the results were quite, I guess, surprising in a way. But we also, there was a lot of good stuff came from it, but we also realised that our remote teams feel really disconnected from head office. Some of them really didn't even understand much about Andron as a business because they're working on our client site. So they have this association with the client, but not with Andron. There were some interesting results came out there, but it really allowed us to sort of develop the app bespoke to the needs of the employees and create something that they would want to use, because that was really important, was that they wanted to download the app onto their phones. If they didn't want it, you've got a big problem there already. So by speaking to them, we really developed something that would be perfect for all levels of the business essentially. And then what we did was we picked a site as a pilot sort of launch, and we picked one of our client sites. It was a new site that had just been being mobilized as part of a new contract. And we decided to use Actimo as a part of the onboarding experience for the staff. So their first few days working for Andron, they downloaded the app, and they could do sort of a welcome to Andron module, welcome to the app, how to use the app. Some sort of basic training on there was already on there that we'd put in place. And we were really surprised to see that over 90% downloaded the app, which was probably the thing we were most cynical about, was that we wouldn't get anyone to actually download it, but they were all really happy and keen to download it to see what was on there. And it's been so nice to see, because that specific site are so active on the app. We have their own social wall for them, so they can, it's basically like a Facebook sort of page, and they can post photos, speak to one another, share, you know, anything personal or work related on there. And when you kind of see how active they are, especially in lockdown, they've all been supporting each other, sort of giving each other tips on how to look after their mental health and well-being, and really engaging on it. It's been really great to see. We've also launched it to our head office group as well, and we did a walkathon challenge in the first few weeks of January, and we used the app to sort of engage people, post challenges, ask people to upload their steps, you know, photos from their walks, and the engagement was extremely high. And we asked for feedback at the end of it and got some really nice positive feedback. So far we're just sort of learning how all the different ways that we can use this to really, you know, benefit our employees in the company. And we still are in the phase where we need to launch it across the entire business. So there's still challenges ahead, I think, because especially in lockdown, it's hard to engage with people to say, look at this great new app we have, and these are the benefits to you, because a lot of them are at home or the managers can't go and see them. So yeah, I think we'll wait and see how the rest of it goes. But I think if the first site's ending to go by, there should be some real positives still to come from that. I think the other thing is the training side, where our training and development manager, Brian's currently basically designing the training program from scratch, which is, as you can imagine, quite a timely exercise. However, we're kind of seeing how that could look, and it's going to be really great once we are able to roll that out, and then we can sort of design specific modules to specific sort of industries, sites, clients. I think there's just so much that we can do with that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I think the scope's so incredible in terms of where you can take it, and the point you make about how to roll it out when you're in a pandemic, you probably almost need that app like Actimo to roll out Actimo because you need that level of engagement to roll out new things, and as you go site by site and that starts to embed, you'll have a tool where you can start to engage with people. I think one of the things, having worked in a facilities business in the past as well, is that I found when I worked in facilities that having that connection to the company they work for is critical but so difficult. Because as you said, they enter a client premises, they maybe the connection is the uniform or the paycheck or whatever else in some instances, but it's how do you build a greater engagement with that team? How do you add more value to those people? You might be in a business that occasionally people move when the contract moves from one provider to another, so they've worked for the client site for 20 years but they've worked for 5 different organizations within that. And I think it's great that you're trying to almost instill a better employee experience for those people so they feel a connection with Andron, not just with the client site they're working on. So I completely recognize that challenge and how a tool is going to be really helpful for you to do that.
I think as well, I come from a marketing background, and I feel like there's so much that we can do in terms of engagement and creating a really strong brand culture through the app, because as you say, a lot of people don't feel like they know us as a company or feel connected to us. And I think we're revamping our sort of brand values, and we're going to promote those through the app and sort of create that family business culture that we've always had, but as we've grown over time, that some people have not been able to sort of feel a connection with. So we're really excited about how we can strengthen that engagement and 360 communication, because we can ask for feedback all the time from our employees. How are you finding this? Is there anything else you would like to see from the app? And really sort of create that community, I guess.
And I think that community aspect is key, and you've touched upon marketing, communication, engagement, and now you're going to bring in training. And having that ability to put all of those in one space starts to remove some of those silos for the employees as well, because a communication from head office is as much training as their mandatory training course, or some guidance on how to use particular equipment or how to deal with particular situations. And again, you'll see lots of potential scope as you grow that. And one thing we normally see with clients is they roll out something like an engagement and comms or training application or system, and they initially have a view for it, and then suddenly they have people start to realize the possibilities. It's almost like a second phase of you realizing the expansion possibilities or the awareness. And have you seen anything else or seen a change of level engagement across the rest of the business as they've started to realize that?
I think it's been great because we've managed to get different departments trained up on how to use the app from a sort of back end perspective. And HR, for example, can now upload content that they think is really important. Same with health and safety. There's the training. My sort of marketing team are great at putting out news updates as well as recognition for employees. So, for example, previously we would get an email to say, so and so at X site has done a really great job for the client, and there was no way of sort of sharing that good news across the business, because you could put an email out, but most of the cleaning and security teams wouldn't get the email. So now we can really share the good news stories and get all of the different departments within the business involved as well. And we're even going to look at using the sort of, there's pulse surveys that you can do through the app, and we're looking at incorporating the appraisal system into the app as well to get that 360 feedback at regular intervals throughout the year, which I think will be really great too.
And I think one of the things you touched upon earlier as well is having those employees choose to download that to their own phone, because that can be seen by lots of people as a potential barrier. And like you said, you were surprised that you got sort of 90% of people logging in and downloading the app and being interested. But that's now the expectation that, people want to be connected with an organisation. They want to feel some level of connection, and they have their own device. They don't need another device, but what they want it to be is in a way that meets their normal life, not having to go and log onto a computer here that they never use, or go to something that doesn't feel like it is part of something they can fit into their working life, their home life, or just part of their lives in general. So I don't know how you've seen that and people have responded. Yeah,
I think it's been important to make sure the content on there is engaging enough that people are interested to see what is going on to the app on a daily basis. So I think you have to make the content engaging enough that people want to download the app, but also you have to have something that really hooks them in. And whether that we've been able to sort of put our other technology platforms in through the app, that people can then download the app, click into the app. You then have access to your HR portal, which has your payslip, which is obviously the one reason that most people want to download something, if they know they can access their payslip. And then also the other software that they would use for their day-to-day job is all in one place. So we've kind of created this one-stop shop. Previously, you would have to go onto one app to do this and another app to do this. Now we can literally have all of our employees going through our My Andron app to find basically anything they need to do their job and for the business. So it's great. And I think that the fact that we've created these social walls, which is obviously more of a sort of fun engagement, and that could be just for their own specific site. So it's almost like connecting with your friends and being able to sort of see what everyone's up to, and if you're not in work, what are they up to? Have they got anything exciting to share? That type of thing, which brings a more fun element to it, and people are as well, I think, are naturally quite nosy, so they do want to see, if everyone else in their team is on this app and they don't have it, they will naturally probably want to have it as well.
Yeah, so you've got that initial push to get people on, maybe through something like a pay slip, that initially gets people in, and then there's those reasons to return. And you're talking about that almost fear of missing out as well, that everyone else is now engaged with it. There's stuff that's social, it feels like it's collaborative and team building, and then in the middle of that is all the useful stuff. So I've got the reason to return for my work stuff as well. And then to take it forward to learning and development, this is what we've found in our experiences. Putting learning into that environment, people do it naturally. It's not forcing people to go and do their compliance training, because it's just part of that day-to-day communication. So it starts to become a more holistic way, and it feels very user focused when you're on the other end, because like you said, I've got one app, it does everything, it enables me to do my job, engage with people, feel connected. So I think it's a really strong story and aspiration, and I'm looking forward to seeing the success as that rolls out for you across all of your different sites.
Yeah, I think like the feedback so far from our clients has been very positive in terms of the fact that we can evidence that all the training's been complete, but also more than that, we can, if our client wants specific training done on something that's very specific to their business or their site, we can develop that and put that out there through the My Andron app. So whether it's a client that is really big on customer service, for example, and they really want our staff to be trained on their brand values and their customer service experience, we can create that bespoke to a specific client or site. And I think that's so powerful and kind of gives you, that connection with the client that you wouldn't previously have, or would be a lot more difficult. And yeah, I think it's really nice how bespoke you can make everything.
Like you said, for the client, that's really powerful, because they're seeing that flexibility, you meeting their needs as well. One thing I wanted to ask you as well was, the last year has obviously been a bit of a weird year for everyone. Now, I'm really interested for your industry, your business, for you as a team. How's it been for you?
Yeah, I think as a business, it's been really interesting in our industry. All of a sudden, we've been at the forefront of this pandemic, which we probably would never have imagined, that cleaning and security services were going to be so vital to the fight against COVID. So I think that's been really interesting to see, and obviously it's brought its own challenges in terms of having to be continually adapting to support our clients. We work with some industries which were key services, such as banking, and in those environments we had to be ensuring that our staff were keeping the client safe, but then also we were keeping our staff safe, working on the sort of front line of this, and ensuring that our clients were able to stay open and be supported by us as well. So I think as well that the challenge everyone's probably faced is continually communicating and staying sort of engaged with both the clients and your own employees. So with the sort of changing government advice all the time, we've also had to sort of adapt our approach and how we support them, and get those important messages out there to our teams and to our clients, and also ensuring that there's been a constant supply of key products for our clients, such as hand sanitizers, antibacterial wipes, etc. And then also looking after the well-being of our staff has been really important, both from the ones that are working on the client sites to our staff who are now working from home rather than in the offices. And yeah, what we tried to do, especially last year, was to really support our local communities. So we decided that instead of focusing on the negatives, that we would try and give back as much as we could to our local communities. So we really got our staff involved in a lot of volunteering initiatives, giving back to charities. We did an employment piece, bringing someone from a background of homelessness into employment. We really sort of focused our efforts on how we could do our part to give back to those that were sort of worst affected by the pandemic. So yeah, it's been a challenging year, but a lot of positives have come out of it, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think there's been so many industries that maybe weren't in focus that have become the unsung heroes. You know, I think I've worked in FM and the care industry, and some of those industries that I felt actually the teams are never really recognised as they possibly have come more into the forefront this year, but also facing some immensely difficult challenges and changing needs, and having, you know, to deal with their own concerns around those things as well. I think across the last year we've seen so much adaptation and so much change almost in people's view, and you know, you're talking about the local community and giving back, and the positives are it's become more of a giving and caring world in some ways, that we've had to look at the bigger picture of things.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen that, and also we've really pushed to recognise our cleaning teams more than ever. And normally we do like a going the extra mile reward and recognition scheme, and we have like a set number that we would reward each quarter. However, we got so many nominations put forward because everyone's been so amazing, you know, in the past year. We just couldn't say no to any of them, so we just ended up awarding every nomination that came through, which was really nice that we were in the position that we could do that. And yeah, it's just there has been a lot of, you know, positives that have come out of it in terms as well, the focus back on the environment and how we can support our clients, and from that point of view, the sort of mental health piece and how to make sure that we're supporting our employees. And again, our engagement app's been great to sort of communicate, share resources to our staff, you know, all the sort of positives of being able to communicate with all 2,000 employees.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Cheryl. And I wanted to say thank you from us as a team, but also thank you for the insights you've shared on your journey so far. And if anyone wants to tap into your knowledge or follow the rest of your journey, or, you know, try to understand what you've done and see how they can replicate that, or, you know, even get in touch with you about getting Andron onto their site to use you to help deliver services to them, how's the best way of them doing that?
I would probably say a LinkedIn, to be honest. Yeah, my LinkedIn, Cheryl Stewart, and then we've got our Andron Facilities Management page on LinkedIn as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We'll make sure that all of those connections are shared in the show notes below.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Learning Reinvented podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. You can register to join the Learning Effect community. The link to do so is in the show notes below. If you've not already done so, please follow our podcast. And if the Learning Effect can help you and your organisation, please do get in touch. You can find both James and Katie on LinkedIn, and our contact details are in the show notes below.